Cruz hits it with authority the other way. The right fielder looking up. That's halfway up the bleachers. You can pucker up and kiss that baby goodbye. Home run number 4 for the Tigers against scrambling pitcher, and home run number 8 for Dylan Cruz on the year. And the Tigers have left the launching pad a few times tonight.
Yeah, just a special player. When you can drive the ball opposite field like that and hit it that far out, it is special. Dylan Cruz with his 8th long ball of the year, and down here in Baton Rouge, we call that.
Hello and welcome into Tigers Roar. I am Jonathan Poche, joined as always by the Bud Man, Buddy Songy, coming to you from Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard. Come check it out. Great food, great place to catch the game. We have a lot on today's episode, so we'll jump right into it. You saw in the opening clip, Dylan Cruz hits his 8th home run of the year as LSU defeats Grambling 16-3. It's not a football score. 16-3. The bats came alive for LSU. Jay Johnson really has his team being disciplined in the box, not swinging a lot of balls. Hit the good pitches. That's what Ted Williams said. And 4 home runs for the Tigers as they look forward to playing Mississippi State in Starkville this weekend. We have a whole lot more from last night's game and a preview of the upcoming series against the Bulldogs. That football, of course, LSU spring football is underway. They had their pro day today at the facility. We'll talk a lot about that. And also NFL, some Saints news, some free agency, a whole lot and more here on Tigers Roar. With that, we welcome in the Bud Man. Good to see you.
Good to see you, JP, and hope everybody doing well. These last couple of Wednesdays have been crazy with the weather coming in, so we hope that everybody has been able to avoid the tornadoes and the floods and of course, the damage with tree falling on houses and all that other stuff. But, starting off with a little baseball, and I'm not going to mince any words here. You grow up when you're 5, 6 years old, and what do you learn? You learn how to field a ground ball. And quite frankly, LSU fans are getting a little sick and tired of these errors and this porous defense. And, JP, I'll be honest with you. These kids have been doing it all their life. It's between the ears. Now, as we've talked about, you have that pressure because football didn't do so great, and you had a coaching change. Right. And basketball didn't do so great. After starting 15-1, you had a coaching change. Well, as we often say, the Tiger fan base is saying, hey, man, I'm going to the beach. I got to have something I can sink my pride into and hold on to my shirt sleeves. And I'm not giving up on LSU. But it is ridiculous in 2 stats this year. Number of errors. But you know the other crazy stat this year? Number of times LSU has been hit by pitches.
Oh, yeah, right.
Gavin Dugai hit 3 times. So next 2 weekends on the road, at Mississippi State this weekend, at Arkansas the following weekend. And it's not fair. You talk about pitching and you still don't have established roles on who's your guy to come in and shut it down and who's going to start every game in a weekend and all. But a lot of it is because of the errors. And so they have, look, the coaches aren't doing anything wrong. It's the players. I'm putting this on the players.
Yeah.
If you can't field a ground ball, get in front of it and stop it. But you just got to make the plays on defense. Jacob Berry has not been good in right field. They have struggled to figure out where to put Jordan Thompson because he's had a bunch of errors at shortstop. Yep. Doty even had a miss the other day. And so they're still tweaking a lineup. But let's all take this with a grain of salt. We saw Kim Mulkey come in and do a fantastic job. But this is like, and you just had this situation. You went to a new house, and it's a total makeover. Yep. That couch you had at the old house might not go with your new house. And so you're totally remaking this baseball team and the way you do things. I have the utmost confidence in Jay Johnson and his staff. But it is frustrating to watch when these games are seeping in 3 hours and 40 minutes and 2 or 3 errors. Oh, by the way, I think LSU's 13-2, actually 14-2, when they have 1 error or less. They're 6-7 when they commit 2 or more errors. So defense has got to be part of it. But as we know, they're hitting the long ball, and and cruise missile and Barry, and obviously Braden Joe Bear. So a lot of positives, but also you still have to worry about that defense because you never know if they're going to field it or let a inning go on longer than it should.
Right, that's kind of how it happens. You let one guy on base, you get another base runner that gets walked, and all of a sudden, it's a ball to the gap and 2-run score. It's just I agree with you. It's a mental thing. I mean, these guys have been playing baseball. They're so talented across the board. The whole lineup, uber talented. So, yeah, it's kind of contagious. When your teammate makes an error and the ball hits you, you kind of focus, or not focus, it should be, and the ball hits the ground or whatever. But look, they keep scoring 16 runs a game. I think the offense kind of masks a lot of that. But when you get to this SEC weekends, you're facing dominant pitching week in and week out. It's going to be tough to scratch across runs. You're not always going to hit 4 home runs, get 2 from your catcher, which Travinsky's been hitting tanks. I mean, you found some offense with your catcher. That's always a very positive thing. I understand Milazzo is one of the best defensive catchers in the league, but Travinsky hits the ball. The first home run he hit last night was a shot, but the second one was a moon blast that went into the sky and barely landed inside the stadium. That's exciting for the Tigers to get some production from their catcher. A whole lot more baseball here on Tigers Roar, but also we got some spring football. We're going to hear from Coach Brian Kelly. Another rebuilding process for the football team. A lot of new faces, especially in that defensive secondary, Bud, man. I know you and Mike Scarborough have had a lot of practices, have a lot of tape from TigerBait.com, so let you guys see that. Want to get your takes and Mike's takes later on in this program about what you've seen, especially with the quarterback spot, the defensive secondary. You know the defensive line is going to be stacked. I mean, that's 4 pro guys that you have starting. Got to change the scheme a little bit. A whole lot to talk about. Spring football is here. Coach Brian Kelly is getting his implemented his staff and doing things they want to do, teaching the players how to develop in the way they think and their habits, and really building from the ground up. And it's going to be interesting the next few months to see where this program goes. So much turmoil in the last couple of years since LSU had that fantastic undefeated season. Of course, Coach O went off to the sunset and going to buy himself a cheeseburger with all his money. And look, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a good time for LSU football. It's going to be a different culture around the team. I think that's already starting right now. You'll hear some players how they have approached this spring training season differently than they have in the past. So we'll get all that after we reach this first break. Reminding you guys to check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. It is a great way to keep up with everything we do at the Pelican. All your Tigers Roars, your Clarence Bugs Show, Rocket Right, I said Clarence Bugs, the Coach Roger Kadar Show, Overtime with Athletic Director Roman Banks of Southern University. That and a whole lot more on YouTube. Got that out quick, but once again, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. Come back and join us after this break. We have a lot more here on Tigers Roar.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Honda has won more U.S. News & World Report awards than any other brand in the last decade. And now you can add another one to the list, being named the best car brand of 2022. Come get your Honda today at Louisiana's #1 Honda dealer, Team Honda on Siega Lane.
Visit Treads & Care Tire Company's new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for over 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair and top-notch customer service.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats. The flavor says it all.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to greystonecountryclub.com.
Continue here on Tigers Roar. Before we talk some LSU baseball, the Budman has a special shout out he wants to give out to somebody special in the crowd.
Bill and Linda are our guest of the night over here at Old School Barbecue. Not sure if they're going to be getting a brisket or some of the other great barbecue over here. Come give us a try, 10655 Coursey Boulevard. And Bill and Linda enjoying this great weather and hoping that LSU goes to Omaha and hoping that LSU football can rebuild and be competitive in the line of scrimmage. JP, they've got the skilled players.
Yeah.
Who's going to be the quarterback and how are you going to look at the line of scrimmage? Those questions will be determined here in the next 6 months.
And we'll get into more football later on in this show. But man, one more thing about the offensive line. I think that's kind of the most exciting part of practice to watch for the media. They don't get to see a lot of practice in the past, but got to experience an entire practice, saw the battles that take place in the trenches, the guys talking trash, they're throwing each other, wrestling on the ground. The intensity, the controlled intensity, I thought was great. A great thing to see from LSU football.
Yeah, and let's be honest, folks. Everybody knows in the SEC, you got to protect the quarterback. You got to open up holes for your running backs. And on defense, that $64 million question, can Matt House, the new defensive coordinator, was the he's going to coach linebackers and be the defensive coordinator. Is he going to be able to get pressure with his front four? Hey, we're hearing from a lot of the guys. Yep. He's very aggressive and very much apt to blitz. So it's going to be fun. Oh, by the way, one thing we've not seen much of, special teams replacing every specialist on the LSU football team. But I know you've got some Jay Johnson tape and a lot of admiration for this guy because, you know, one thing that Jay Johnson did say, I embrace these expectations, and he knows this fan base, this is why they don't toss the ball around after a strikeout or an out. Got to speed the games up.
Yep.
And so it's been a learning process, I think, for players as well as coaches.
Yeah, LSU 20-9, 4-5 in the SEC in Coach Jay Johnson's first year at the helm of the Tigers. They took on the Grambling State Tigers last night. 16-3 was the final. 4 home runs from the LSU Tigers. The bats came alive. Chicks dig the long ball, Budman, and the catcher, Hayden Travinsky, has found the power stroke.
Yeah, you were talking about 16 runs. Of course, very seldom are you going to score 16 runs in the SEC, as you know. Now, Ben McDonald and Todd Walker, who have been our primary baseball guests throughout the year, have told all of us there's a lot of guys that got hurt. Mississippi State had a couple pitchers get hurt. Arkansas had a couple pitchers get hurt. And so you're probably going to have to win more games, 8-6, 7-5. And LSU can do that if they just don't boot it around on the infield.
Jacob Berry has been as advertised so far this season. Went 3 for 3 last night. Had the home run, 2 RBIs. Got to find him a spot in the field to play. Not going to play at DH at LSU. Drayden Joubert has been too hot to move him anywhere. right field has been a struggle. Third base also been a struggle. I can speak from experience. When I was in high school, played a bunch of different spots, and when you don't get all the reps at practice in one spot, when you move over the ball, the spin off the bat on the ball is different at second base than it is at third base. It's just a different feel of fielding your position if you play multiple. And I kind of feel for Barry. He's dynamite at the plate from both sides. He's a switch hitter. That's very hard to come by in college baseball. That's why they're projecting this guy to be a high first-round pick when he turns pro. Of course, he's a sophomore, but according to his age, he's a draft-eligible sophomore. 3 for 3 with the home run last night. I feel like even though Dylan Cruz is a superstar, Jacob Berry is still the straw that kind of stirs the drink. Right in the middle of that lineup, Dylan Cruz is going to see good pitches because Berry often hits right behind him. He's a key part of this offense, and if he keeps hitting the ball like he's doing right now, he could be a catalyst for this offense moving forward.
Yeah, still waiting for him to go yard from the right side.
Yeah.
All 9 of his home runs so far have been from the left side of the plate. Yeah, he's had some trouble out in right field. He's also had some trouble at third base. Once again, LSU with too many errors. But look, I tell the listening audience this all the time. You want them peaking in March or you want them peaking in May? And I think we all know peaking in May, going into June, being hot is a lot more beneficial than what you're doing. And, of course, here it is, JP, crowned a couple of basketball champs, yep. South Carolina and Dawn Staley win the women. And, of course, Bill Self. How about that? Notice of allegations in 2019. Institutional control, lack of. What'd they do? They gave the middle finger to the NCAA.
Yep.
Of course, gave him a lifetime contract and proceeded to win the national championship, although he wasn't quite as sloppy as the former LSU coach Will Wade, and that will always come back to bite you in the butt.
Yep, second championship for Bill Self in Kansas. Congratulations to the Jayhawks. I thought the big man for the Tar Heels, Baycott, I thought he had a fantastic turn of the Final Four in the final. 2 great games. I mean, the men and the women. It was great for New Orleans to have the Final Four and the final.
Yeah.
Packed.
That's great for the economy, man.
Superdome was packed for a basketball game, which is incredible. Nightlife was jumping in New Orleans. So a great weekend for the city. Great basketball was being played. A lot of events. The media from all over the country, over the world was in New Orleans. So, yeah, it was great for the city, great basketball, great for the NCAA to put a good product on the court. It was a back-and-forth game. You thought Kansas was kind of getting blown out, but then they came back, and it went down to the wire. I mean, UNC had a chance to tie it up at the very end. So it was a great game. I enjoyed it. It was very entertaining. I don't have a huge stock in the NCAA March Madness once LSU goes out, as like a lot of other LSU fans kind of don't really pay attention until the final. But being in New Orleans, we try to get tickets for the family. Like a week out, 2 weeks out, it was ridiculous, $1,300. But then, of course, game day, nosebleeds, they're going for like $25, $30. So it was a great event. I'm glad you brought that up. I didn't have that in my notes, but I wanted to mention congratulations to Stanford and to Kansas.
70,000 on that Saturday. Had a bunch of friends, including Bruce Weber, who used to be in the media, that came over here, and it is a who's who as far as media covering the Final Four. So we put basketball to bed. Matt McMahon has lost every player that was on the Will Wade roster, so he is slowly trying to put this thing together with his staff and getting players to fill out a roster.
Right.
And as we said with football, it still is a very much a work in progress.
So now we're talking about basketball a little bit. There's been a question kind of tossed around on the Twitter Spaces and in a lot of social media podcasts and a bunch of stuff. Okay, so you have Jay Johnson, you have Brian Kelly, and Kim Mulkey. The Final Four college football playoff, 4 teams. The Final Four for women's college basketball. Okay, the College Baseball World Series doesn't get down to 4 teams till the very end. So it's not exactly the same, but the question going around is who's going to do it first? Jay Johnson to a College World Series, Kim Mulkey to a College Women's Final Four, or Brian Kelly to the college football playoff? I ask you, Budman, which happens first?
Well, I think that Kim Mulkey certainly has had the quickest and earliest results. She is just a beast of a lady and a coach, working tirelessly. Oh, by the way, she did lose her top assistant, who got her head coaching opportunity at UCF, but she will recruit like nobody else, and I would say she would make it to a Final Four. You said Jay Johnson to make it to the CWS, which, of course, is 8 teams.
Right.
I don't see that this year. If you want to eat Omaha steaks, you probably have to watch TV and order them.
Catch the information.
But look, as I said, peaking at the right time. It could still happen if they get their defense in. And football, you're just, besides your blood pressure pills, you better take your patience pills. Because Alabama and Georgia and A&M and Ole Miss and everybody you play year in, they've got more players and more depth.
Yeah.
And this first year, I think you just want to be respectable and competitive. And then in year two, you hope that Kelly will have more of what he wants the LSU football team to look like.
You see, if we were going the Final Four in college baseball, I know there is no such thing, but if we were going to the last 4 teams, I have to take Kim Mulkey too. I mean, she's going to bring in the 5 stars. The turnaround at Baylor, they were winning 8 games a season at Baylor. She turns them into a powerhouse, and there's a huge gap between the haves and the have-not in college women's basketball. I mean, there's like 8 teams that are always a juggernaut, and the rest of the competition is just kind of in the weeds somewhere. I believe LSU basketball will have a very young team next year. Now, they bring in some 5 stars, a lot of talent, but they're going to be young. So it's going to be hard for them to compete and win games late in seasons. Kim Mulkey thought that her team this year overachieved. I think everybody kind of agrees with her. But they had a lot of experience. I mean, graduate students came back for their last year to play for Kim Mulkey. I believe she can compete for the Final Four in the next 2 to 3 years. To get to the College World Series, the final 8 teams, I think Coach Jay Johnson is in the same stretch. 2 to 3 years, bring in a couple more guys, get his system in place, teach his fundamentals. I think he can be right there too. The problem with football, the SEC West is just so tough to get through every single year. I mean, if he was independent like he was, at Notre Dame, I'd take Brian Kelly. I have his great shot at getting in the next 3 years to get to the College World Playoff. But as it all sits, you factor in all those kind of things, I also have to take Kim Mulkey. What a fantastic job in her first year, turn around. Going to bring in more talent. I do think they'll take a small step back next season, but the year after that, look for her to compete to get to that Final Four.
I think LSU women are going to be really good next year. And, of course, they've got some verbal commitments that they have not announced, and they've got some stars coming in here. One young lady is an incredible rapper and a basketball player. So you're going to see her a bunch. You mentioned about the women's game versus the men. And to make your point, 3 to 4 number 1 seeds in the women Final Four made it. Kansas, the only one out of I got. I had Gonzaga winning it. I had Purdue, I had Tennessee, and I had Kansas. Only one of the number 1 seeds in the men's Final Four made it. So there's no doubt. There's much more parity, more strength, more depth with the men's. But look, don't sell these coaches short. Gymnastics, by the way, had a tough fall. Not going to give Jay Clark and the Lady Tigers too much bad press, but that's inexcusable to lose to Missouri 3 times this year. Got to get better there. Got to have some leadership there moving forward. And as always, we know softball and beach volleyball and all those sports that we cover in the summertime, they will continue to do great things in Tigerland.
All right, getting back to LSU baseball, we told you the Grambling State Tigers came into Alex Box last night. We do have some highlights from that game. We'll actually try to go ahead and roll those. We'll continue the conversation. Bud, man, with Mississippi State just around the corner, it was good for the Tigers to get some quality swings at the box. And look, going to Starkville, not an easy place to play. The cowbells are going to be ringing all over the place, and the Bulldogs are a talented SEC baseball team. So what did the LSU Tigers have to do besides kind of clean up some of the errors in order to win a series in Starkville?
Well, there's Jacob Berry hitting a 2-run dinger last night. That is number 9 for him. Of course, you'll see Dylan Cruz later on hit number 8. I just think playing fundamentally sound. And the problem that I see with the baseball team right now is that because of injuries and because of the craziness and the transition, you don't have your typical set lineup of pitchers on the weekend. And where are you going to put Jacob Berry in the defense? That is still the $64 million question to make all of the lineup work. But I'm not giving up on them, but they certainly have got to play a little bit cleaner on defense.
Right, this is a game LSU was absolutely supposed to win. It started off kind of rocking the first inning for the Tigers. They bounced back. Dylan Cruz he gets on base, and then Jacob Berry gets a long ball off to get that game closer up. Tigers never looked back, busted it open late in the game. It was 9-2 when Dylan Cruz hit his home run. But man, a lot of things have to go right in a game to win, no matter what sport. But baseball, it is so tricky. Like, you have to do all the little things correct. And Jay Johnson really preached on that before he ever held a practice. In his introductory press conference said, we have to change a lot of practice habits, a lot of bad fundamentals that these guys have been, playing with for years. And that takes time. You're not just going to do that overnight. It's a fundamental habit that you have to build in these players. It starts with the mental aspect. You have to want to do the small things right, and I think Jay Johnson is on the right track. All those Paul Mainieri teams that made runs to Omaha all got hot at the right time, and I think that this team could also very capable of doing that.
You talked about a change in the culture. Kim Mulkey had to do it. Brian Kelly's doing it right now, and of course Jay Johnson in the midst of doing that. One of the tidbits on football: accountability. Mm-hmm. And not only from coaches to players, but players to players. And so, look, no disrespect to Coach O. Everybody still appreciates, as he's, getting shafased in Cabo, that was still the greatest year that anybody has ever seen in recent memory. And Paul Mainieri did win a national championship and played for another one.
Yep.
And, of course, Nicky Fargas should have probably been fired about 5 years earlier. But that all being said, it's hard for the LSU fan to understand it's transition, mm-hmm. and you're having to reload, a rebuild, and a recharge with all those three major sports. Look, we can't even get into and try to act like we know what Matt McMahon's going to put on the floor because it's way too early. But hang in there, Tigers. You hope that Scott Woodward's made the right decision, and I think in due time that will be proven true.
I want to let you guys hear from Coach Jay Johnson after last night's victory over the Grambling State Tigers. Here's the head coach of the LSU baseball team, Jay Johnson.
Is it hot?
Maybe strange we can win 16-3, but we want to improve as a team. I thought it was a good step in that direction. You want to win the games that maybe you're supposed to win, which this was probably one of them. And it was good to see some guys do some things, a few more homers, a few more quality at bats with runners on base, trying to assess maybe some guys in some different spots. So it was great to get the win, but there's a lot of value that came out of it as well.
When you say importance, you mean like confidence-wise?
No, not necessarily. I mean, the good thing about young people is they bounce things off of them pretty quickly. Sometimes it frustrates you because you get a tough loss and you want them to feel it a little more sometimes as a coach, but it's probably best to move on to the next thing. So I don't think it's that. I just think, RPI, those types of things. And, you think in the SEC, and by the time our schedule is completed, we'll play the top 10 overall schedule. But, you lose a home game like that can weigh you down for a while. And so that was one. Didn't talk to the players about that, but in the back of my mind, it's always there. And you got to take care of business. And I'm really happy with the way our guys did it.
You were able to switch out a lot of pitchers tonight. How would you assess the guys on the mound?
Yeah, going back, Grant got off to a little sluggish start. We didn't really help him. We didn't make any errors in the first inning, but we didn't. 3 of the 4 hits were non-plays, maybe 2 of the 4. So, that was frustrating. I thought his intent in the second inning after we scored was much better. Trent's been kind of a unsung hero of the season. It's kind of quietly under the radar, just keeps going out and getting zeros. And obviously he's putting together a nice year for us, so he was great. It was good to get Garrett Edwards back in the game. I think he's a much better pitcher than he's pitched to this point. I thought he threw the ball well. The run he gave up was a strikeout, that pass ball. That's how the leadoff guy got on base. And then I think the one error that we had was in that inning too, so I thought he was solid. And then it was good to get Michael Fowler out there and Jacob Hasty, and it was nice for those guys to collect 6 outs, and Michael struck out all 4 batters he faced, so he'll be on the trip this weekend to Mississippi State. That's how this thing goes.
Okay, so what's going to be the keys to leaving Starkville with a series win?
Just complete or complementary baseball. I think we need to hit mistakes. We need to move the ball with runners in scoring position, take quality at bats throughout the order. We need to control the ball on defense to help our pitching staff out. Again, I think our pitchers have done a good job. I think we're much better than people thought we were on the mound. Coming into the year, we would be even better if our defense would support it. And so we need to make steps in that direction to do that. So I would just say complimentary baseball, and then the other thing is it's a great environment for college baseball. You know, they got a good fan base that comes at you pretty good, so we're going to get there early. We're going to leave tomorrow night and have a normal day as far as study hall, weight room, and practice there on Thursday to get into it, so we make sure nothing sneaks up on us and we're ready when the bell rings.
Yeah, you talk about something sneaking up. Like, is it tricky when you're playing a team that's kind of wounded, like kind of like at the bottom of the standings?
I don't see it that way. They just beat Arkansas on the road on Sunday, so I'm not. They're not wounded. Yeah, and they have the same record as us, and I think 11 of the 14 teams, you know, in the league are either 5-4 or 4-5. So I think it's like that scene in was it Anchorman, you know, where they all are battling. That's kind of what this thing is right now.
Coach, would you say to Taylor in that first inning mound visit?
Just try to get his poise under control. He's going to be a great pitcher here. I mean, he gave up the double. I mean, first pitch guy just kind of ambushed one, and then kind of some unfortunate plays. You know, infield grounder we couldn't come up with, and then an infield grounder that a guy beat out. And just try to get him settled, because you want to keep that at 1 or 2, and they did score another one. Guy got a 2-out hit right there, but just to not let the game get too far away from us, and I think that's important. We're going to score, you know, we're going to score late, and so I was pleased. It's just to get him under control. That's it.
And that was head coach Jay Johnson from the LSU baseball Tigers. LSU beat Grambling 16-3, last night. Coach Johnson said, look, this is a game we were supposed to win. It was an opportunity to kind of do some things with the lineup, get some guys some playing time, get them some experience in case they have to play in games that actually matter later on down the road. And all of that experience is very valuable for college baseball players.
Well, in case people have forgotten, Jay Johnson and his staff have the #1 recruiting class coming in here. Mm-hmm. And they still don't have enough lefties. Of course, Jaden Coleman got hurt, and we still don't know when he's going to come back. And so I think that they will really, really be good. You're going to lose Berry, and you're going to lose some the other guys. They had Milazzo circled in as the starter last night, but they scratched him at the last minute, so he'll be coming back soon. But hang in there with the Tigers. You know, look, I'd love to be wrong and say you can go to Omaha and order the steaks.
Yep.
But they're going to have to – JP, in one of the games against Auburn, they were 0 for 9 with RISP. That's runners in scoring position. Folks, we used to call it ducks on the pond. When the ducks are on the pond, you got to knock them in.
Yep, can't leave them stranded. That's it for LSU baseball on this edition of Tigers Roar. We'll take a quick break, come back, talk some LSU football. They had pro day today at the facility. We'll talk some spring football practice, the early enrollees, the defense, the offense, all the new coaches, and a whole lot more. We'll hear from Mike Scarborough also in a little bit here on Tigers Roar. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this break.
Creel Tree Service is a licensed and insured tree service providing tree and stump removal, topping, trimming, cabling, pruning, and fertilizing. We have free stump removal with takedowns, free estimates, affordable rates, and senior citizens discounts. Call 774-TREE. That's 774-8733. Get your yard ready for the warmer weather. If it deals with a tree, call me, Creel Tree Service, 774-8733. That's 774-TREE.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with The Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
Tremonti's has meat. Tremonti's has seafood. Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremonti's.com.
Driver assistance technology comes standard on every Camry model as part of Toyota Safety Sense, setting the standard for safety every time you're on the road, no matter the destination. Save on your Camry today at Team Toyota, I-12 at O'Neill.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
Treads & Care Tire Company announces its new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair with top-notch customer service. Treads & Care offers the convenience of shuttle service and pickup and delivery of your vehicle. You can also enjoy the comfortable customer area, complete with workstations, high-speed internet, and a complimentary coffee bar.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
Treads & Care, the tires you need and the service you want.
Hello. Hola. Ni hao.
Experience what the Baton Rouge International School can offer your children. Now welcoming displaced students for short and long-term stability.
Continue here on Tigers Roar. Jonathan Poche joined by the Budman Buddy Songy here at 10655 Coursey Boulevard. Old School Barbecue, a great place to get some awesome food, check out some games, live music on the weekends. Come check it out, Old School Barbecue. All right, Budman, time to talk some LSU football. Head coach Brian Kelly has his team rearing to go in spring practice. Media has had a lot of exposure. They've had a lot of time to go film practice, talk to the players. Coach Kelly had a press conference we'll let you guys hear from in a minute. But man, a different feel around the program. I mean, Coach Kelly really runs it like a well-oiled machine. I mean, a lot of moving pieces, a lot of guys working in the same direction to move everybody. I keep hearing this expression, the controlled intensity is the vibes that everybody talks about from these LSU practices. Getting to see these men go one-on-one, all the talent LSU has on the field, it's really just it's a gift for the LSU fans to get all this exposure to the team so early in the season.
You know, folks, Brian Kelly has solicited a lot of comparisons to Nick Saban with the professional way he has done things. As he has told his players and the media, if there's a 2 o'clock meeting, you better be there at 1:55. Because if you come in there at 1:59 and you're late, and we know with traffic and everything else in this world, it's hard to get somewhere on time. But attention to detail, sense of urgency, incredibly fast pace, and accountability. They want you to do it the right way. They're going to not let you smoke the wacky tobacco. They are going to make you go to class. They are going to make you go to study hall. They're going to make you watch film. They're going to make you do it the old school way. And you get this $64 million question. Wait a minute. Can you discipline these young kids that have been given everything because of this phone, which has now made us incredibly entitled? See, I used to have to go to the library and look up Encyclopedia Britannica. Well, now, if I forget something, I hit a button, it's right there in front of me. Well, guess what? These kids are getting back to a little bit of old school. And to a man, Jordan Toles said it best. He said, if you want to be great, then there's nothing wrong with a little discipline, because it's going to teach you the right way to get there. And that is what he is trying to impose. And as quick as we want it to happen, you don't snap your fingers and change the culture of what was going on to what he wants it to be. But everybody's all in, and everybody's trying. And as you hear from Coach Kelly, he is a straight shooter. We were talking about depth charts and all that. He says we're not even getting to that point. Now, this is a week they'll start working on depth charts, but really, really a lot of memories back to what Saban used to say, the process and all those other words that mean so much, JP.
No, Brian Kelly is completely different from Coach O. Not to throw any shade on Coach O, but Coach O wasn't the most polished public speaker. You know, he had a tendency of kind of letting some things slip to the media where this guy's not going to play. None of that's going to happen under Brian Kelly. He is as polished a public speaker when it comes to head football coaches as they are. I mean, he is in a tier very few other coaches are in. When he speaks about the process and 100% buy-in and accountability, the coaches can scream and yell and old school, and that's great. You know, get in their face, tear them a new one. It does nothing unless the players don't hold each other accountable. You mentioned that. That's when special things can happen, when you have players-only meetings and everybody knows what's about to happen. Like, we hold each other accountable because we expect a certain result. If you're not going to buy into it, if you're not going to give 100%, we don't want you over here. And if players can do that, but man, that's when special teams happen. And Coach Brian Kelly, he's been doing it for 30 some odd years. I think he might know a formula of creating a winning team. We're going to let you guys hear from head coach Brian Kelly. Here he is. April 2nd was when this press conference was held, so they have had a few more practices since then, but we'll let you guys hear from the head coach himself. Here is Coach Brian Kelly.
Look, here's where we're at. Spring ball has really been about, teaching our guys how to prepare. I talked to you about, our preparation. And, before we can, talk about success as a football team during the regular season, we have to understand how to prepare the right way and practice, practicing efficiently is really what our focus is. And, the first couple of days you're in helmets. And so how do you practice the right way and compete against each other and tag off? And then you put the shoulder pads on and you want to, maybe thud up the back and be able to do that the right way. And then you tackle. And so each one of those stages is about how you practice the right way, and you then lead into, a competitive situation like we had today. And each one of them's been a learning experience for a football team. They had to learn how to practice with tempo and speed the first couple of days in helmets. Then when we were tagging off the back, how to do that without grabbing the back and pulling them down and not creating a situation where we couldn't be productive in just shoulder pads. And then today, how do we flip the switch from practice to a competitive environment at the end of practice? And if you guys were there, you probably saw that we couldn't do that, right? We couldn't change the way we looked at the last few periods. It was just a practice during those last 3-4 periods. It wasn't a competitive, spirited scrimmage. And that's a process for our guys. So the long and short of it is, I'm so excited because I'm teaching our guys how to prepare. And I really can't worry much about, who's the number one corner, who's the second quarterback, who's the number 2 left tackle, because all the work here is in our preparation and how we're practicing and preparing the right way. So when we get into the season, I'll know that if we're preparing the right way, all that other stuff will take care of itself. So that, by and large, is where we're at right now. And I'm not really concerned about who the starting corner is and who the starting left tackle is. That will take care of itself and kind of sort itself out as we get, further into spring ball, preseason camp, and our opener against Florida State. So that's just the preface of where we are, and then I'll open it up to questions.
Hey, Coach. Glenn West with LSU Country right here. I guess just kind of talk about where you guys, installation-wise, just through 2 weeks, how the players have been picking things up and that nature of it.
Yeah, I think that, we've thrown a lot offensively at them. There's anytime you have, a different system, there's going to be some learning, a learning curve there. Again, I think what I'm most interested in is retention from one day to the next. They're going to make mistakes. But I think what we're evaluating is who are the guys that are able to retain the information. And then what kind of learners are they? Are these guys that are, do they learn by watching film? Do they learn by walkthrough? Do they learn by taking reps? And so we're kind of working through that process right now. So, this is our 5th practice, and we're getting a better understanding of, say, for example, how Nussmeier learns versus how Brennan learns. And that's kind of the process that we're in right now.
Hey, Coach Jacques Doucet, WAFB TV. Just curious, what's your view in terms of media coverage right now during this time of year? Do you believe we can see more because it's not so tactical or giving away to other opponents, and then in the fall you cut back? Just curious. We haven't watched the full practice in a long time.
Yeah, I wanted to allow access so you could get a better sense of, who we are and what we're about, because you have no idea, right? I mean, and I thought it was important to give you a glimpse at that. And I think we've laid that out pretty carefully throughout, the spring. So you'll walk away and get a better sense of, okay, we got a pretty good sense of, how he's going to prepare his football team and his players, right? As we get into the season, it becomes a little bit more, tactical, and there'll be some access, but it won't be as universal as it is right now. Yep.
Hey, Coach, Koki Riley from the Daily Advertiser. I was curious, through 5 practices, is there anything about your team that sort of surprised you so far from a more of a big picture standpoint?
No, I don't know that I'm surprised. I like their willingness to adapt to each day. There's been a lot for them to handle. This is quite different for them. Different in the way that we're preparing them. So I think they've done a really good job with routines, because we've changed their routine. And routines are about, I got to do this at 12. I got to be here at 3. But they have habits that have been instilled in them as well. And we're trying to reshape habits, and that takes longer. And I think what I'm most pleased with is that they're willing to do away with old habits and at the same time stick to some of these routines that we've built in. So I don't know that surprised as much as pleased with their willingness to do what's necessary in my opinion, to be a championship team.
Coach Chessa Boucher with NBC 33 here in Baton Rouge. Miles Brennan, he's been around this program a long time, had 2 defensive-minded coaches. How valuable is it for him to learn from someone like you who is so offensive-minded?
Well, I think that was part of the reason that he shared with me that he decided to come back. I think that, he wanted to be in a system where the head coach was involved with the quarterbacks. Part of the system is certainly quarterback friendly. The head coach is involved in it. I think that had a lot to do with it. And he's a Tiger. I mean, he loves LSU, and you can see he's in so much better shape. He's physically in a good spot, mentally he's in a good spot, and he's a veteran, and that is such a great commodity to have in college football today.
Yeah, Brian, Ron Higgins, Tiger Details, Rivals.com. In just 5 practices, is there any position group you've noticed that you thought, man, they've made a little bit of improvement here? I can see some improvement in this group.
I like the versatility of the safety group. There's a little bit more versatility that maybe I didn't see early on. You see, Brooks and Fouché and Sage and Tolles and, Davis is flipping around. I mean, there's a little bit more depth and flexibility at that position than maybe I first thought. And that to me, again, we use words, like surprise but I'm more pleased with that result than maybe I was coming in.
head coach Brian Kelly here on Tigers Roar. But, man, one spot he talked about, he was pleased with the depth at safety. Jordan Toll is a guy that's going to play a lot of different positions for the defensive backfield. One of the guys that figures to be in the mix for one of those spots. He's also a guy that we'll hear from in just a minute, but you got to be encouraged that Brian Kelly was pleased with the depth at safety, considering there's so much turnover in that defensive backfield this year.
Yeah, I kind of wish I was as thin as LSU is at corner and tight end.
Yeah.
This jacket might not be so snug, but look, at safety, you got Joe Fouché and Greg Brooks coming over from Arkansas. You got obviously Jay Ward back there in the mix. Matthew Langlois is a guy that's had some good reps, as you mentioned. Jordan Tolles, Sage Ryan, Derek Davis Jr. There are a ton of players in the defensive backfield. And Kayla is coming up here. And, of course, I would never eat on the air, and that looks like that is going to be a to-go with Morty. But that looks like an incredible pulled pork sandwich with Mama's. Well, I don't want to say better than my Mama's potato salad.
I'm almost positive that this is the Boss Hog pulled pork sandwich.
Oh,
Great deal. Under $7 for the sandwich, 2 sides, and a drink. You can't beat it anywhere.
Look at you with the mac and cheese over there. Come by and get it. Bill and Linda did not say a lot while they were enjoying this great food over here. And Bill says, by gosh, we got leftovers, honey.
That's right. We'll let you guys hear from some players after this spring football practice. Jordan Tolles, Mike Jones Jr., quarterback Garrett Nussmeier, and wide receiver Jare Jenkins. Here's some players here on Tigers Roar.
I mean, so today I was actually working with the corners today, but the safeties, the rest that I've been getting with the safeties has been real good. On the offseason, we worked on closing space, covering that middle of the field, really protecting our corners on the outside, because I feel that was a big emphasis that we needed to improve on from last year. So as a group, we've really been getting after it with covering ground, closing the post, diving down and taking the right angles to the ball when pursuing the ball. So I think that was the biggest improvement from the past to now, and Coach Cook's been doing a good job with emphasizing our footwork and understanding our leverages and our angles and having your right foot up when you come into the point of contact. So I think that's why Coach Kelly's so happy with it, because we're improving as we go.
Obviously, there's opportunities to be had. Working a corner, working safety, whatever. They're both positions of need right now. Do you feel like it's a fresh start for all the players on the team? Now's my chance to prove to these new coaches just how valuable I can be.
Yeah, I think it is a fresh start for everybody. People just want to get better. Everybody just want to get better. So I can say they look at it as a fresh start, but we get after it like that every day. So an impression is an impression, and it's who you are. And then the coaches see that you're going hard and you're giving your all, and that's your first impression, and you got to maintain that. So I think that's really what it is. As a team, we trying to hold that standard and keep the standard and elevate the standard. So I don't think it really got much to do with the coaches. It's just us wanting to be better.
What can you tell me about Jay Ward and the way he's playing for you guys?
Jay's great. Me and Jay shared the room together last year. He's a real energetic player. He get a team energy when big plays are made. He brings us up when we down. He's a good guy in our room. He's a good person to be around, and he's playing great. He's playing great. He's playing with technique. He's playing with leverage, and everything that our coaches is telling us he's playing. He putting it to a T. So.
I feel like the receivers, you got some really high-end guys, Brian and Chris. I guess, what is it like? What are you seeing from them in practice?
They got a lot of grit. Coach House been preaching to us grit and strain on the defensive side of the ball, but offense has some grit on their side of the ball too. They fight through adversity. They push the DBs to become better DBs, and we pushing them to become better receivers. So it's just a battle every day. We want to be the best.
Is Brian hard to go against because he don't really talk?
I mean, yeah, BT don't say much. He just come to work every day, but that doesn't make him hard to go against. To me, he's like any other receiver, whether you open your mouth or not, and I'm going to jam you.
Dre's more fun that way?
Yeah, Dre a little bit more fun. Dre opened his mouth a little bit more. He probably don't want me saying this, but we call him Horse because he got his big teeth because he always opening his mouth.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
What's changed in terms of morale, organization, and spirit from the Texas Bowl to now?
Texas Bowl, we was uplifted, but now we're even more uplifted because it's a fresh start for real this time. Like, it's the start of a new season, start of spring, you know, everything in the past really don't matter right now. New coaching staff, a lot of new roster changes, new opportunities. So we just ready to go.
Two more. Some of the players we've talked to say that you've really got to be on time now and a lot more accountable than in the past.
Yeah, Coach Kelly's big on accountability and, you know, doing what you're supposed to do at the time you're supposed to do it. And that just correlates to winning. You know, you don't get out your break on time, difference between a PBU and a game-changing pick. It's just how Coach Kelly works and operates down to a science. And I think we needed that in transition from last year to this year.
You think good players want that kind of discipline and structure?
Great players should want that kind of discipline. You know, good players, they up in there, but great players should want that type of discipline.
Defensive staff is amazing. You know, I'm so glad I came back for another year to play under Coach House. You know, his whole mentality about everything he does is exactly what I needed, you know, as a player who's trying to maximize his last year, you know, his 5th year. Just from the mentality of straining, you know, and going as hard as you can, he brings that mentality into every aspect of the game, you know, whether it's the meeting room, whether it's walkthroughs, whether it's communicating on the field, and then, or whether it's executing, you know, and then chasing after the ball. Like that, all of those things, man, are so emphasized with him. And like for me, I sit there and I just be like this is exactly what I needed to get better. You know, this is my 5th year. You know, I've been doing indie drills with position coaches since like 2018. You know, but for the first time, for real, I'm like coming out of every day like boy, I just almost worked myself to death. Right. But it's crazy, but I'm super glad he's here, man. Super glad the whole staff, man, and it's like that for all our position coaches as well. You know, the whole defense as a whole. You know, we have a really hungry mentality, man. That's how I would explain it. You know, it's hungry. We just keep going and pushing and running and running and running. You know, and just you know, trying to maximize every day, truly maximize it.
How does him being a linebackers coach, I guess, help you specifically? Obviously, he's going to lead the whole defense, but he's obviously coaching you guys as linebackers as well. Just what are some things maybe he's helped you within your own game the last couple of weeks or months that he's been here?
Yeah, I would say more on the mental side of the game. You know, with him being a linebacker coach, you know, I can ask questions as to what he's thinking. You know, Coach, we see this. You know, what are you more likely to do? You know, what are you thinking that the offense is going to do? How do you think they're going to attack us? You know, it's a lot of things, and of course, you know, we get to know like what's being installed, what calls, and exactly how he wants us to run it every day, a little bit before. But you know, also, which is another big thing for me, just understanding football. You know, understanding the offense. You know, I really get to like get in his mind for real whenever it comes to learning things like that.
Yeah, I'm just curious. What was that process like for you, obviously deciding whether or not to come back with this new staff or go to the draft? Just what was the thought process? Were you ever close to getting to the draft? Just like what was just talk us through coming back here, I guess.
Yeah, so after the bowl game, you know, I just sat, talked to my family. I thought about it, and I waited, and I was just trying to hear who were they going to bring in for the coach, you know. And I did play a big part of it in it too, but also, you know, I didn't want to end my college career, you know, after like a bowl game like that. You know, I want to end off on a high note. And, you know, I found out Coach House was coming, and, you know, it made it easy.
I just know the way things are going now, we're doing what we're supposed to do. You know, we're at where we're supposed to be at every second, and you know, I think it's been a positive change. So,
for you personally, how was the mindset shift there? I know last year it was the big play, the trying to make too much happen. Sometimes, just what are you kind of taking from the last couple of months about what you need to work on?
Yeah, I mean, I think I learned a lot from last year. You know, especially being a true freshman, getting to play in some real SEC time. You learn a lot, and I think for me personally, the biggest thing was just kind of being more of a manager of an offense, you know, and for some reason I got this like gunslinger, you know, thing everybody says, but I'm trying to just block that out, you know. Yeah, I can take some shots and make some different throws with my arm, but that's going to happen in a game, and I can't look to do that every play. So that's kind of what I've learned, just manage the offense, move the sticks. So
yeah, no doubt, we need the whole receiver room to step up, you know. It's just not about like certain ones, whatever we all the unit. And like that's just what we preach, you know. Everybody got to do their job, and I feel like everybody going to do their job. Everybody going to step up way more, and I feel like our receiver room is going to be something to see.
What about Brian?
he looked really good, today in practice. I'm sure he does every day. But just, what about his game can maybe take to that next level this year?
Brian, he got a special talent, from leases, running routes, and catching the ball down the field. So I feel like Brian, he has gotten better since last year up to this point in the spring. Like, he's working every day, and I feel like he is a much better player than he was from the first year.
You guys are kind of quiet, though. Am I right?
Yeah, he is quiet.
Yeah. Are you as quiet?
No, I'm going to talk.
Do you think there's comfortability between you two because y'all are experienced and y'all have played together?
Yeah, I feel like it is, It's just something, like I said earlier, like, we just had that connection from, like, this is going into my 5th year, and we've been together ever since then. So, like, I feel like it's very good. Oh, yeah, no doubt. It's way more attention to detail. Him, Dan Brock, and all of them, they've been preaching us to us about the fundamentals of it. Like, it's more the leaders taking ownership of it, and we leading the way for the people that's under us and stuff. And I feel like we've been doing a great job with that. Like, Coach BK, he's been doing a great job also, and from him all the way down. So I feel like it's been going great.
Did Jay Ward have a pretty big day today in the secondary? It seemed like he was breaking up a lot of passes.
Yeah, Jay gonna be Jay. He's that type of player that brings energy to the defense. And I feel like, Jay, he's been really good for us, and I feel like he's a much better player now, too. And so, he always gonna make his plays.
LSU football team going to their spring practices. We're kind of crunched against the time clock, so we're going to get Mike Scarborough after this break. Don't go anywhere. You are watching Tigers Roar.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
The Post on Church Point Road in Gonzales would like to invite everyone to their newly renovated events hall, a beautiful 9,600 square foot facility that features a 5,500 square foot main hall and a separate 600 square foot conference room. Renters have access to our huge kitchen, large stage, tables, chairs, bar, and covered outdoor cooking. So plan your next wedding, party, conference, and more at The Post on Church Point Road, Gonzales.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi gang, Clarence Buggs here, inviting you to come by Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard, where we tape the show live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 11 o'clock. Come by and feast on news, sports, current events, love of God and country, and lots of common sense, along with some of the best barbecue anywhere on the planet. 10655 Coursey Boulevard, Old School Barbecue, home of the Clarence Buggs Show.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent.
Depend on us for service, for selection, for price.
Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing.
You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to greystonecountryclub.com.
The Mazda CX-30, named an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus. Perfect for the journey ahead.
Start your journey in a new Mazda CX-30. Right here at Team Mazda on Airline.
As as we continue, Budman with the 4-4-3 unofficial. Good job, Budman.
Well, we had
made it
to
back.
talk to some of our patrons. Big night over here at Old School Barbecue. Everybody coming in here. Eloise and Bill and Linda. And, of course, you know a guy who loves this place is on the line with us right now. The one and only and still the most eligible bachelor in the media, Mike Scarborough. What's up, Mike?
I'm doing good. How you guys?
Doing just fine, Mike.
I had to mess with him, you know? Let's get right into it, Mike. Obviously, very, very busy with LSU football, and if we could kind of give us an overview of what's going on recruiting as well as what you've seen at practice so far.
Well, I just, we keep going on and on about the organization and the attention to detail and everything that they're trying to cram in, and they like to maximize their time out there. They're not going to be out there for 3 or 4 hours. But we go from my thoughts on the first practice we were there was that Miles Brennan looked the worst, and then the last practice we went to, I thought he looked the best. So I think there's a little bit of everything. And, of course, now they're going to have been in full pads for a week. I think when we're out there on Saturday, I wonder if things are going to look more settled in and guys starting to distance themselves, particularly the older guys.
Yeah, a lot of questions I'm getting, Mike, is going to be about the trenches for this upcoming season for LSU, both offensive and defensive side of the ball. Defense, they have a lot of studs coming back. Mason Smith, Guillory, B.J. Ojolari goes to an edge. In practice, have you seen one side or the other have an advantage? How's this offensive line looking against these studs on the defensive line?
Well, we haven't seen them go one-on-one, and I think when we do get to see some of that, it'll probably be ones versus twos. But, look, there's no denying, particularly on the defensive line, when you look at each guy in his bio and his measurables and his star rating coming out of high school, Coach Kane's got a ton of talent to work with. But those high star ratings to this point have not really registered as far as that group looking as good as we think they should be. And, are the Jaquelin Roys and et cetera going to step up and show what we all thought they were going to be coming out of high school?
Yeah, Allie Gay, obviously, Jaquelin Roy, Mason Smith, B.J. Ojolari, and backups galore. Coach Kane's got to be happy. I'll answer part of your question, JP. Offensive line is struggling a little bit. They're trying to put the pieces together. We did see some 11-on-11, and there were some sacks, so that's going to be a work in progress. I still think Brad Davis has one of the toughest jobs in this spring. And, Mike, one of the other things that we all have to monitor, at this point in spring ball, JP and Mike, you start to accrue injuries. And, that's why the spring game is always a cluster, because you don't know if you're going to have your guys available. If you get hurt, do you rest them and not worry about the spring game and heal up for the fall? That's more important. But, the wide receivers and the running backs and the DBs, and there's some talent there. Mike, I still question how good they'll be at the line of scrimmage in the year one with Brian Kelly.
Yeah. Look, do I think they're going to be a finished product against Florida State on Labor Day weekend? No. But I do think that unit's going to get better and better as the season goes along. And they might not be done with the portal yet. We're still, waiting to see what's going to happen with Tyler Steen and some others.
Mike, a couple of guys I want to ask you about offensive line. Cardell Thomas, a guy that has not played up to expectations for what he was coming out of high school. Dealt with a lot of injuries. Tough to stay underweight when you're injured, Mike. I want to ask you about Cardell Thomas and what's he looking like, and also Will Campbell, the big early enrollee, 5-star offensive tackle.
Well, there's nobody that's going to look more impressive on that offensive line standing there than Will Campbell. That's just how it is. And but Cardell Thomas obviously has been in the program now for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So is this a new lease on life for him and an opportunity? Of course, Coach Davis has been there since last June. But does all of a sudden does he become a guy? I think it's a big move for him if he's a secured number 2, based on where he's been the first few years.
Yeah. Yep.
Of course, the other thing, and we'll get a chance to watch practice again tomorrow, and then after Mike and I do our report for TigerBait.com, they'll have an opportunity to talk to Brian Polian. Mike, I don't know if I've ever remembered a year where every specialist on special teams is a new guy. I'm talking snapper, I'm talking punter, I'm talking kickoff, I'm talking field goal, I'm talking gunners, I'm talking punt return and kickoff return. Interesting to see what Coach Polian is going to say about that tomorrow after practice, Mike.
No doubt, and we can sit there and kick the old staff, to the curb and lay them out and verbally assault them. But there's one guy that's untouchable, and that was Greg McMahon. So Coach Polian's got some big shoes to fill because LSU special teams under Coach McMahon were good across the board every year. And so I'm going to see if I can get – I was going to make it a point tomorrow to go to the very edge of where we're allowed to be and zoom in because I've got no footage of any of the special teamers. And, buddy, I don't know if you've looked at them or went down there and tried to take a peek. I could see them down there, but I don't know what there was, what work they were actually doing last Saturday. But, we get Coach Polian tomorrow night after practice. This will be the first spring that we've ever had the 3 coordinators talk to us, and Coach Polian's number 1 tomorrow night.
Of course, JP and Mike, they are bringing in Jay Bramblett, who was a punter at Notre Dame. I feel like him and Peyton Todd will battle for that. Yeah, I did peek over at special teams on Saturday. Wind was blowing, if you remember on that beautiful Saturday. It was blowing 15 to 20, and I saw a righty and a lefty, and neither one of them were consistent. So I do think that replacing Cade York is going to be a really, really tough situation. But look, Brian Polian, of course, we know with his dad, Bill Polian, who, by the way, is going to be the main speaker with the Coaches Clinic. So great to get that kind of expertise and knowledge around the LSU campus. I think Brian Polian, by the time they line it up against Florida State in that first weekend in September, they'll have all those slots figured out and probably have some depth.
Here's the other thing. Jacques Doucet did a great Jacques talk with Greg McMahon. He's going to stay living. He's in Baton Rouge. I don't know if it's this year, next year, year 3 or 4. That's always the guy that you could bring in as an analyst if you ever needed to.
Yep.
He wouldn't be a bad person to have around the program.
Yep. Mike, I want to ask you about defensive secondary. A lot of turnover, new guys transferring in, a couple of guys from Arkansas come over to LSU. Give the fans out there one guy that they can kind of look at, and he's going to be a playmaker for that secondary this year.
Well, I'm concerned about cornerback and safety.
Yeah.
And we're seeing Jordan Tolles now at cornerback. What does that tell you about that position? Who are the difference makers there when we're used to always seeing difference makers at corner and safety for LSU?
Yeah.
So I think even with your number ones, are they what you're used to seeing at LSU? But we'll see.
Yeah.
Bernard Converse obviously coming in was, all Big 12. That's a nice pickup from a pass-heavy conference.
Yep.
And then Fouché, Brooks, we'll see.
Makai Garner.
Sage Ryan and Matthew Langlois, what do you see out of them? I sure would like to hear Coach Kelly start dropping Sage Ryan's name a bit more.
Yeah, they've got 2 big corners. He mentioned the kid from Okie State, Makai Garner, is also coming over from the Raging Cajuns. Of course, his teammate Kyron Lacey is the wide receiver, but Mekhi Garner has looked really good. JP and Mike, he's 6'2" and about 215, and you'll see 24. Now, 24 wasn't out there on Saturday, but he's 6'1", 205. Good big corners, two big corners, but boy, the depth after those two leaves a little bit to be desired. I think they will try to address that in the transfer portal and certainly recruiting in the 2023 year, Mike.
No doubt. No doubt. And look, they're seeing a bunch of big timers come in for visits. I think Michael Doherty came in for an official visit last weekend, and Loganville, Georgia, Grayson High School, and you're talking about a 4-star consensus safety, about 6', 180, and I think LSU is the team to beat for him. So. And then we're going to see what they do with some of the in-state kids. Curly Reed, Jordan Matthews hasn't been contacted by the LSU staff. There's still some interesting storylines in recruiting at that position.
By the way, you may notice on some of this film that the linemen are wearing knee braces. JP, you've got a son who's going to be a sophomore and an excellent football player. If you would talk a little bit about that being kind of, the last thing coaches want is when a guy gets hurt, falling down in the pile. And certainly you don't want to lose anybody in practice. And there you see big number 66 right there. I've already branded him as the next great left tackle for LSU. Not trying to put any pressure on Will Campbell. I think he plays the part, and I think him and Cam Wire going to do a good job at left tackle this year, Mike. But those knee braces certainly trying to alleviate any of those bumps and bruises and those knee problems that you sometimes get when you scrimmage and when you have contact.
Yep. Just preventative maintenance, and even if you hear Coach Kelly out there screaming week 1.5, not to the ground, not to the ground. The last thing you want is any injuries, but you really don't want them when it's supposed to be light walkthroughs and no tackling or something freaky to happen to a starting lineman.
By the way, you're looking at film that was shot by Mike Scarborough. 15 is Miles Brennan, 14 is Walker Howard. Of course, Nussmeier wearing 13 and Jaden Daniels wearing 5. JP, what do you think about the quarterback situation? What do you think unfolds in this spring game? And let's hope that they can split them up and have 2 good ones on one team and 2 good ones on the other.
To me, in practice, from what I've seen at least, Miles Brennan looks to be in the most control of the offense. And look, it's tough to see the intangibles in a guy like Daniels, who's a pure athlete in the pocket. He can avoid pressure. He can do some things with his feet that are just in-game moves. You don't really get to see that at practice. So it's exciting. It's exciting for LSU to have such a crowded quarterback room with so much talent. I mean, you talk about Walker Howard, Garrett Nussmeier, and then you got Miles Brennan. Then you bring in a transfer who has a lot of talent too. It's always good for competition. Coach Brian Kelly talks about, he wants to, build up every position with competition. If competition is not for you, LSU is not your school. So I think it will bring out the best in Miles Brennan. I think it's his job to lose at this point. The most experience under center for the Tigers. He did an outstanding job before he got hurt in previous season, not last season, but the season before that. So if you're asking me right now what I think, Miles Brennan number 1, Daniels number 2. But it would not shock me to see Daniels start week 1 against Florida State. I mean, the guy is very talented.
And, Mike, what I was talking about is I want to see Brennan and Daniels split from one team, and I want to see Nussmeier and Howard split from one team. That combination would give one upperclassman and a young guy on both teams. As you can see with the practice out here, there's no walking around, sense of urgency, everything fast speed. And, Mike, I think all of the interviews that we've done with the players, they have taken to this discipline and new way of doing things, and I think they're quite excited with what this staff and we didn't have time to talk about strength and conditioning. Jake Flint's done a hell of a job of getting some of these guys in shape right now, Mike.
Yeah, he has, and I'm still hoping to get to interviewing him here sometime in the next month, or I don't know if we're going to get him, but I keep asking. But it's my understanding that all the players have really taken to what he's installed in his routines and the new exercises and that he's implemented, and so all good. You can see it in a lot of the players.
Hey, let's talk about the advantages of being a subscriber and a member of Tiger Bait. And boy, I tell you what, JP, something every day new on the site. As we tell you that if you are an LSU pundit and a fan, you gotta, I guess you could say, get a taste of Tiger Bait, because once you taste it, it's like this pulled pork sandwich. You want more, Mike.
Yeah, we've got a lot coming your way. Obviously, so many things going on: football recruiting, spring football, LSU baseball, Matt McMahon trying to piece together a roster, Kim Mulkey out recruiting, and of course, when we go out to football practice, you're getting player interviews, Brian Kelly, practice reports, tidbits, our YouTube channel's getting loaded, and our premium video for our subscribers that we put out. The last practice was 20 minutes long and like 14 or 15 gigabytes. When you send that to your big screen TV in your living room, it's absolutely broadcast quality. And so that's why you subscribe to TigerBait.com. You get our newsletters, our text alerts for breaking news. So go to TigerBait.com, subscribe, choose the annual package versus the monthly. If you do the monthly, you end up paying for, with the annual, you're basically getting 3 months free. So always pick the annual.
And as you see on the screen, we do chats and war rooms. And for the consummate LSU fan, Mike, also tell them a little bit about if you get it hooked up, you get those text alerts on your phone when you've got something breaking.
Absolutely. That's if you poll the Tiger Bait subscribers, one of the top 2 or 3 features that they love is the text alerts. If you're in a business meeting and you don't have time to play on the internet, and you just need to know that so-and-so is committed to LSU, you're going to get that sent directly to your cell phone. And I don't spam you. I only send the big stuff.
Keep up the great work, man.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, talk to y'all later.
All right, good deal. And as you have seen, the quality of his video is unsurpassed. He does a great job.
Yeah, we have a quick video for you guys to check out. Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, was asked to visit LSU. He gave a quick speech to the team. Want to let you guys hear from it right here on Tiger's Roar.
Fellas, I still think I'm young. I'm 29. You know what I mean? Some people think I'm getting old, but I like to think I'm young. But when I came to LSU, man, it was a dream. It was a dream come true. To really wear those colors, to represent my state, to represent my family. And for me, being the smallest dude, not the fastest, not the strongest, it was really always important for me to try my best to separate myself. In order for us to be the best of us, we need to surround ourselves around people that's going to take us there. So when I say that, I mean, how are we going to come together? Because that's the only way we're going to get to our next level. So every time I walk through those walls, and I'm going to work with Odell, and I'm going to work with Jarvis Landry, the only way I'm going to get them, the only way we're going to get to our next level is if I push them to his. And that's why we really play on Sundays now. Because of what we did when we was in this room. But when you talk about being honest with yourself and being real and being a champion of life, come on, man. That's what it's about. I could care less about what I've accomplished on the football field. It don't really move me no more. When I was young, it moved me. I wanted to have a lot of followers. I wanted all the things I got now. But that don't move me no more. What moved me is seeing the next dude do what he's supposed to do, be who he's supposed to be. Because for a long time, I wasn't who I was supposed to be. It's about the growth. It's about the steps that we take to be who we know we can be. And y'all can be a hell of a football team. Y'all can inspire this entire state. You know these boys 14, 15, 16 years old, and they got no hope. So understand that the responsibility we got, not just me, y'all too, to inspire this entire state and beyond. Because everybody watching. I played in this league 9 years, I'm going on 10 years. Everybody want to wear those colors. That's just what they want. Everybody want to play in that stadium. Some days I'm speechless because it's like, dang, everybody want to be me. And all I did was try to represent my state, represent them colors. I was just a little kid in the park that was happy he was in the park and happy that he could put on a Willie Hall helmet. It wasn't about nothing else for me. I was always just trying to represent my community, represent myself the right way. And I fell down plenty of times. Some stuff y'all don't even know about that I go through. But it's all about how I stand up. It's all about the next day. The same way it's about the next play. That's the play that count. All the stuff behind me don't mean nothing no more. If I can't see what's in front of me, your focus should be where you going, not where we come from. Because if you focus on your future and you take care of that, you're going to be able to turn around one day and bless more people than you could imagine. And all them habits we develop, that's the habits that's going to pay off for us in life.
All right, that was the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, this past week at the LSU facility, giving a little speech to the team. But, man, always a great day when a guy like the Honey Badger come in and talk to your team.
And he is genuine and he is real. And, man, when you see him eye to eye, you realize that's all heart.
Yep.
It's not the biggest of guys, very much a leader, very much a communicator. And, oh, by the way, guess who he's talking to today? Your New Orleans Saints.
I think that was yesterday. He went and visited the facility.
Well,
yesterday.
I know,
Right,
but I'm saying it's going to go on for a couple days.
Well, and look, hopefully the Saints can bring him in. I mean, that would be outstanding for the organization. A guy that's been very active on social media, letting everyone know he kind of wants to be in New Orleans. It's his home city. It's a team he used to watch.
Got to get the money
right. That's right. We certainly appreciate you tuning in to this episode of Tigers Roar. Don't forget, check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting, a great way to keep up with everything we do here at the Pelican. We'll have another show for you next week or the week after, but tune in because we have a lot more Tigers Roar coming your way. But if you missed any of today's episode, check us out, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. For everyone in the truck, for Alan, for Katie, for our floor director, Marty, and for the bud man, Buddy Songy, I'm John the Poche. We certainly appreciate you tuning in to this episode of Tigers Roar. Don't forget, come check out Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard. We'll see you next time, Baton Rouge.